All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Homestead Challenge podcast. I am so excited. Today I'm sitting down with someone who really shares a deep commitment to something that I know a lot of us are craving, and that is more time with family. And our paths are actually a little bit different. The way that we do things, our beliefs might even be just a little bit different, but there's so much that I think you're going to gain from this episode. I am so excited. Um, we're really both working towards that same goal of spending more time with family, getting down to our values, and really remembering our why in every single thing that we do. And one of the ways that we do that here, of course, is through homesteading and living from scratch and trying to spend as much time at home with the family as possible. So, I want to introduce Jillian of Sprouting Arrows. So, she is an online creator of the blog Sprouting Arrows as well as the Instagram. So, you can find her there all the time with all sorts of golden nuggets of information on how she is doing the thing. I'm actually going to let her kind of take over and tell you a little bit about her background now.
Sure. Hey,
Hello.
thanks for having me.
Of course.
This is fun. Yeah, so I originally started this account just to kind of help mothers kind of basically be home with their kids. And so I am a stay-at-home mom, and I have always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And so basically what part of our story and why I am now talking about living frugally is because when me and my husband got married, we still had two incomes, and we both were committed to going down to one income. And so when we had, our first baby, I went ahead and stayed home, and we were still living though, like we had two incomes, and we never changed our habits, never really thought about it. We just kept on living our life. And then, oh my gosh, we can't pay our bills anymore. We had like a credit card that we would pay off every month. And then one month we we're like, well, shoot, we don't have enough money to like pay off our credit card. Let's just pay the minimum this time. And then the next month we just paid the minimum again. And so we just started like accruing debt, like stupid debt. And then I quickly realized like, wow, we can't if we keep living like this, like our debt is going to be crazy. And like, we have to change what we're doing, or else, our debt is going to get out of control. So, the first thing we did was, I went through all of our spending and saw how much we were spending on the dumbest stuff, like the most normal things, that like everybody does. Like you don't even realize how much you're spending, honestly, if you're not keeping track. And that's just how it started. I didn't use like an app or anything. I just had like a piece of paper, wrote down literally every single purchase we did, and saw we were spending. I mean, it was like, this was now years ago, so I'm trying to like remember back, but it was like I don't know, $200 like on fast food, like a week or something like that. I mean, it was like we would go out to eat like 4 or 5 times a week,
Oh,
like
yeah.
a lunch here, Taco, it's like not even big places, Taco Bell, Chipotle, maybe go to a restaurant one time a week, thinking we were being frugal, we're just going to go out to a nice restaurant. But not realizing like all the little things, how all of that adds up, and how that was actually the biggest contributor to us not making like our payments, was actually these dumb little purchases.
Yeah.
And, and our grocery bill was like way too high, and, all these things that we were just not in our budget, and we were just doing it anyways because we had no idea.
I'm
And
so glad that you shared that because with what you share now, I actually would have probably never realized that you had that past, which is a very similar path that we take. I think we're still in the recovery phase. I always say here that I am a recovering consumer for sure.
oh,
It's
oh yeah.
like
Oh,
always
same. Oh,
recovering. Like
same. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
so
for sure.
I was not born frugal. So I'm glad
Yeah.
to hear that you weren't either. That's very relatable.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, I thought it was frugal. Like
right.
I actually grew up frugal, but like not realizing there's like thinking you're frugal. And then there's the actual act of like, oh, wow, I really got to be frugal now. And, you know, you think you're being frugal by, buying the small cup of coffee instead of the extra large vanilla latte or whatever. But like, really, you could just make that coffee at home and then you can make whatever you want it to be. And,
Yes, absolutely. So you often share that you now thrive on less than $50,000 a year
mhm.
by having one income. We are also a one income household. So very relatable there. And I do think that there's a lot of my audience that, and even I'm sure your audience too, but they're used to you talking about it, that just doesn't even think that that is possible.
Yeah.
And so I love to hear your background because clearly you know kind of what it's like to live both ways. It's not like something that you've done always. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Yeah. Well,
So
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say like what were your biggest mindset shifts when it came to all this or beliefs that maybe have changed since you've been a lot more comfortable with living with just that one income?
Well, I think like when we first started, like I obviously was really convicted to stay home. That was like my number one thing. Is like, I mean, because I feel like if I didn't really have that much conviction about it, and when we started to struggle through it, like I probably would have just been like, oh, it's okay. I'll just, get a job, or, whatever. But because it was such a purpose driver in my life that like I had to figure it out. And like it became this challenge to me of like, I have to figure this out. And so it kind of, if, I mean, I think honestly, in order to maybe thrive at living frugally, you have to kind of start to think of it as like almost like a fun challenge, like it's Tetris or something, and you're trying to like put all the pieces together and like make it fit, and like how do I make it fit even better? And like so for me, I like doing that, and I like trying to find continually like ways to not just make our budget smaller, but like how can we actually have more with the budget that we have, and so yeah, we started cooking from home way more. And so I mean our dietary habits have like completely changed. And now like the idea of eating at Taco Bell is like uh I mean, no shame to people who eat there. I can't even. My husband still loves it, but I don't know, I can't do it. And just I don't actually remember your original question, but just
Oh no.
I think just thinking of living frugally as a challenge, and like how that actually can be an invitation in a way to live a more simple life. Like I was thinking the other day, like, what if, you know, we ended up having like hundreds of thousands of dollars? Like, would we still be on this journey that we are now of trying to simplify our life and trying to eat more healthy? And would we have done that if we had all the money in the world to go eat wherever we wanted, or to vacation wherever we wanted? Or has living a more frugal lifestyle actually been like in a blessing for our family, in a way of like slowing down and kind of getting back to the basics?
Yeah, it sounds like it has really.
Yeah.
I want to so homesteaders generally are like, making food from scratch,
Hmm.
DIYing things. Although I've totally fallen into the trap of buying the homesteading things because there are a lot of products that go along with it. But
Yeah.
that's another conversation. But like what are do you think are like some of the very practical ways that make move the needle the most for you when it comes to either making your own things or things that you're doing without? What do you think are like the biggest, like a couple biggest things that you're doing that you think make the biggest difference for you guys?
Um, well, I mean, I guess for homesteaders or whatever, we do have a garden, and we do the no-till method, and so we've gotten, our budget for gardening was like less than $50 to do everything. And so just like I'm making it work, finding what you need basically, and utilizing Facebook Marketplace is like key. That's how we've gotten a lot of our home stuff, a lot of our garden stuff. We built a huge garden bed in our yard with, aged compost manure that's out there that we got for free. And a guy across the street was cutting up a tree, and I asked him to dump the wood chips in our backyard that we could use. That was free. And so, just trying to like use those creative juices and like, how can I make this, how can I make it work with what I've got, and, I don't have, $200 to get nice organic soil bags, from Lowe's or whatever. But I can get also, really nice, aged composted manure, from a farm, and, and make it work. And, and at home, it's a similar thing. Like, we are trying to, work on our diet or whatever. And it's been like together through this process. Like, we didn't want to eat, and we couldn't really afford to eat at out anymore. So we started to buy like prepackaged frozen meals to like make it easy, and then just realizing those kind of cost a lot. And oh gosh, actually they're not actually that good for you, and then so we try to like change that a little bit. Like, can we turn this, meal, can I actually start to make it from scratch? And like how it's like kind of organically changed our life and like our daily habits, really.
Yes, absolutely. So, what does it look like when you are, do you do like meal planning? I know you shop at Costco because I see some Costco finds
Yeah,
over on your Instagram,
yeah.
which
Costco and
I
Aldi.
love seeing Costco finds.
Yeah,
Costco and Aldi are
yeah,
your two stops.
yeah. I don't have time to I can't like shop. I've got too many kids to go to too many stores. So go to Costco and Aldi. That's it.
No, that's good because there's like a lot of frugal living accounts that are like, well, yeah, you have to go to this place and then use
Yeah.
this coupon to do this thing, and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So, do you do meal planning, or do you kind of like just go and look what's on sale? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I don't really have like a meal plan ahead of time. But yeah, I like to go to the store and see what is there, and then based off what is there for sale, I'll kind of make a and then just having like basics at home, so we always have like something for salad. We always have some kind of a veggie side, broccoli, asparagus, whatever. We always have our fruit thing, and then whatever meat feels like it's cheaper, we'll do that, and then we'll kind of use that for meals through the week. And you know and a lot of it is like the same stuff. We eat pretty basic, and our kids are pretty basic, and
Yeah,
so
I feel
yeah.
that. No, that's what our meals are very simple too. So I do plan mine ahead of time, but it's
Hmm.
like so simple because it does rely on some of those basics that we have.
Yeah,
So we are eating the same things pretty
yeah,
regularly.
yeah, yeah.
As much as like I love to look at like a really fancy recipe, and I do every now and then, and
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
you always have to buy something for those
Yeah.
that you don't have, like if
Yeah.
you're looking at something extravagant. So
Right.
it is
Yeah.
nice to kind of have those basics that you're just go
Hmm.
to over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So, how do you feel like frugal living kind of directly contributes to spending more time with your family? Like, what is that allowing you guys to do?
Yeah. It honestly makes me think of like our home life or whatever. Like we used to have a gym membership, and it was great. Like it, I could take the kids with me. There was childcare, and I did it very often, like every day. And, and then when we were starting to think about quitting our gym membership to, for how it stressed me out, because it was like, what do I do with my kids all morning?
Yeah.
And like it was kind of like anxiety inducing, like, oh my gosh, like, what am I like? I don't have anywhere to go. Like, what do we do? And so that I think has been a big change of just like being okay to be at home, and, And then kind of realizing like, oh my goodness, okay, I mean, this sounds silly, but like, I actually really enjoy my children. And, you know, and it takes a little bit of practice to like be at home all morning, you know, and I mean, we're often at home all day. And, you know, I used to feel like an itch to need to go somewhere and to go and do something and how like I don't have that anymore. And I mean, if we go and on a play date or whatever, go to the market, it's fine. But like I used to have to do that. And now I don't have to do that anymore. Like we are perfectly fine at home. And, you know, we have found rhythms in our day to just, you know, make the day go smooth and, you know, have joy in our home and, you know, and how that wouldn't really have happened, you know, if, you know, we were still going to the gym or anything like that. And so that I think that has been like a really big a bonus I wasn't expecting actually at all. So
Yeah. That's really cool. That's very, very relatable. I've definitely had a lot of times when I had that itch to get out of the house, and I still do every now and then, but I
hmm
do find that having a rhythm and a plan to every day really helps.
yeah.
But when I first became a mom, I didn't really have that kind of rhythm and plan going on all the time. So
Yeah.
you could just do whatever you wanted any given day.
hmm
But when I actually had like structure to our days at home, then it helped me stay at home instead of just going to the thrift store or going to
Yeah.
Target.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with those things. It's
Of
just like,
course.
you know, before I felt like I had to because I didn't like was stressful to like stay home. And now it's like, you know, we'll do those things sometimes, but
Yes.
it's definitely not like a need.
Of course. Of course. And yeah, it's all about, I think, making choices. Today, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of our conversation that we were gonna have. So I was out front and I with like had a neighbor walking by and I like was talking to them and I was like, oh, I don't really want to mow the lawn. But normally I actually really like mowing the lawn. But today I just didn't feel like it. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, we just hire somebody to do that." She was like, "We just pay somebody. I don't like doing that either." But it like had me thinking about how many things that when I what she works full time. And so I would like how many things that we were actually paying for when we were working full time that like I could be doing instead of paying to do them. I don't know how to
hmm
explain that, what I
hmm
mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, I even at one point, I think we did have a cleaning person at one point a while ago for just a little bit. But I'm just like, the things that we were paying for, I could replace,
Yeah.
um, I don't know, instead of buying them, I could just do
Yeah.
them myself and be at
Right.
home with my
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
kids wander around while I mow the lawn and stuff. I When my kids are out, I mow the lawn, I use my push mower. I always talk about it because it's like the non-gas. I have regular
Right.
gas mower, but I just like to use that one when they're around so I don't cut
Yeah.
off any toes or
Right.
anything.
That's
But
probably a good plan.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
I know.
it's
I
just
mean,
fun.
it would be tempting for sure to get it like a house cleaner. But yeah, it's like, okay, so I mean, when you do the cost of like what that would end up being like at the end of the year, it's like, oh, goodness, like that money could definitely, I'd rather have that go towards something else.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to change gears here because we are home a lot. You're
hmm
home a lot, and you homeschool. I want to know if you have any specific rules through your rhythms of your day around like technology, and also uh, after the technology, I want to talk a little bit about like extracurriculars and things because I know that it's so popular to have our kids in like 1 million activities and all that
hmm
kind of stuff, which I don't
Yeah,
think that they're necessarily bad, but it can be a lot.
it can
So
be.
first,
Yeah.
let's start with technology.
Yeah.
What are your guys' rules around that? Do you have screen time, no screen time?
I mean, we're not completely screen free, but yeah, I do limit it like a ton. You know, before I stayed home, I was an occupational therapist, a pediatric occupational therapist. So, like, I mean, I know the stats on the brain effects and you know all of that, and so I mean, that is like a purpose that we have chosen or whatever. And so, yeah, the kids don't get any tablet time, never. If we do happen to fly on an airplane, that is like the one time they get to use it and they can watch a movie That's it. And that might change as they get older, and use it for school or whatever. But I mean, our oldest of four is only 5 years old. So, he isn't, needing to do anything yet. And I mean, of course, my 5-year-old's not going to use a phone. And they get to watch one Wild Kratts a day, basically. And then we have a movie night. And then we just started doing a video game night. And that is not going actually very well. So we're tapering that back down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we do a little bit more screen time than I would like right now. It is hard to find the balance of being like a work from home
Mm-hmm.
parent. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you have any tips for like if you were trying to work, say, on your blog or something?
Yeah.
What do you have them
Yeah,
do?
it's tricky. Well,
Yeah.
I am trying to grow whatever I'm growing, and I am just doing it in quiet time. So the kids get my two youngest take a nap, and the two older ones they have quiet time, and so I work on it for like an hour and a half, and then if there's sporadic moments throughout the day, I'll do it then too. If they're outside or if they're like super engaged in Legos or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'll work on it a little bit after they go to bed and stuff like that. And I mean, I have to be really diligent. Like if I'm having those rules for my kids about phone, screen times, I'm trying to be really diligent with like how much time the kids see me on my phone. And gosh, it's like so hard. And so it takes so much intention, like on my part to like follow through on that. And, trying to be, keep my eyes towards, them and our home rather than, all of the world that is on our phone.
Yeah.
But it's a daily challenge, and
Yes.
it's a minute by minute challenge frequently. And so I'm
That
definitely
is
not
my constant struggle, and I have a lot
yeah.
of systems for trying to battle it, but I
Mm.
literally always have to revisit them because
Oh my
I
gosh, yeah, continually, yeah, I know.
I'm 100% addicted. I don't want to
Yeah.
be, but I just am.
Well, the first step is recognition, right?
Right?
So
That is so true. Okay. So they're not on that a lot. So do you have activities that I mean, I know that most of them are pretty young, so they wouldn't be in them anyway yet. But for the older ones, is there like activities that you're doing, or do you have a plan for the future, how you're going to battle that?
like sports or
Sports, music, just
oh,
all the
yeah.
extracurriculars. So,
Yeah, I mean, if yeah, I'm sure we will be doing them, but I mean, yeah, not very much. Like I know some people, there's like an activity every single day or whatever, and I mean,
yeah.
there's no way even if we had that much money, there's no way we would want to do that. I mean, I could see us doing like one activity a season,
Hmm.
like, and it would be great if it was all the same activity. All the kids do baseball or all the kids do soccer or something. I mean, I think that would be fine. Um, but I think if it does start to feel too much, then we'll just, kind of pull back a little bit and, um, kind of go from there, kind of reassess just every season and, go from there.
Yeah. I know a lot of people feel like they have to. And it's for me, we almost put my one kid the older one in soccer, but they were already doing uh, ninja class, we call it. It's like Ninja
Oh,
Warrior,
oh yeah.
like if you've seen the
Oh,
TV show. It's
our
like
our oldest
parkour.
would love that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's we love
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
It's so cool, honestly. He can like
Yeah.
climb the warped wall, the like
Oh
big ramp
man. Oh,
thing.
that's fun. Yeah.
So cool. Not that I
Yeah.
needed to teach my 5-year-old how to do that, but apparently we did.
Yeah.
But they're also in swim lessons right now.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I like had a freak out over the soccer, and I was like, okay, nope, we're not going to do that yet.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Good
And
for you
but
guys.
still, it was like even doing two things right now, but it's swim lessons, so it's not like I feel like because we want to go to the pool a lot this summer, it's important.
Yeah.
But so it's
Yeah.
a hard balance there.
Oh, and I think it's like it's different for each family too, like, for some families doing one thing might feel like too much, especially with, it's a really busy season doing other things or maybe
Yeah.
doing three things is fine in a slower season. So, yeah.
Yes. All right. So now that we know kind of like what your days look like? If somebody listening really feels overwhelmed by the idea of like drastically simplifying their life, say that they are wanting to move down to one income or just wanting to, even if they're not going to move to one income, realizing they're overspending or overspending money or time. Um, what would you small steps for or even first steps would you recommend to somebody that wants to kind of start making these changes?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say first kudos, and that's great. And I mean, I think the first thing is to know why you want to, you know, either go down to one income or just like, become more frugal, because I think that will help you stick to, what you're, because it is a challenge. It's not easy trying to at first, saying no to different food items or impulse shopping. And, that does get easier, but it's not easy at the beginning. So just knowing why you are trying to do that is probably the best first step. And then, I mean, it's really just knowing where your money is going. So just like, I am assuming everyone has, some kind of a digitized card and auto payments. And so you're able to track basically everything. So just writing it down, every single payment, every co-payment, I mean auto payment, like, no matter what it is, even if it's that dumb $2 drink at McDonald's, like writing it down, because you might be spending more on those $2 McDonald's drinks than you realize. And if you cut out that, plus you cut out this over here and you cut out that over there and you cut out this dumb little thing up here, and that could end up being like $200 a week, you know? And then when you take that into a month, well, now you got like $800 a month. That's just like sitting there. And
Yeah,
like, you're like basically making money just by not spending.
it is.
And, I think that's like definitely the first place to start, is like opening up your eyes to what you're spending for sure.
Yeah. We my husband and I have gone through lots of bouts of, um, budgeting, and we were doing great for a long time, and then we moved across the country. He got out of the military, had, like, a job that he knew wasn't gonna be his forever job, and then he switched jobs again, and now he's in the police academy, so it was a little bit hard to keep track of everything, so we
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
fell out of it, and
Hmm.
also with even we've been here for almost 2 years, but I got out of the habit of making a lot of stuff that I was making all the time before the
Mm-hmm.
move,
Hmm.
and we just looked and, like, it seemed harmless because we don't go out to eat a ton, but we were getting pizza once a week after ninja class,
Hmm.
and oh my goodness, just getting pizza once a week, I was like, "Okay, well, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
get smaller pizza or we gotta
Yeah.
make this again because I used to make it
Hmm.
from scratch every
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
week, so we're gonna get get back to that because
That's
it's
that's
so
ex- that,
crazy
that's
how the
exactly what
little
we're
things add up."
doing. Yeah, I know. I mean, we're like, I mean, we still are a very fun family, but yeah, we would do. When we had gym membership with the pool and everything, we would go to the pool every single week. It's couple times a week, and it was always, when my husband got off work. But then we would be racing back for dinner, and so then we went, why not? Well, we don't have time to make dinner, so we're just, let's just go get, whatever. And that's definitely something, a habit that has changed, you know that we used to do. And you know and it's hard to change that a little bit, because now you have to
Yes.
think, a little bit ahead of sometimes.
Yes, I think that the planning absolutely helps that
Yeah,
dinner time
it really does.
situation.
Yeah, I know. Like, if you knew ahead of time, oh, we could just have like a crock pot meal that day, and then you get home and it's still ready for you. And yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have struggled with this a lot, and I talk about it a lot on the podcast, as far as Instagram goes, because when we talk about it often here, it's about, the homesteaders, and there's people that are like living in just like dream worlds and doing
Yes,
all
I've
the
seen those.
things. And I
Yeah.
talk often about how I don't do all the things, which I think is absolutely fine. But um, what would you tell somebody who is struggling with comparison issues, whether it be to other people online or people in their real life? Seeing your friends go on a vacation or buy the new
Mhm.
car
Yeah.
or all the other things. What
Yeah.
kind of encouragement would you give, or have you ever been in that mindset and had to get out of it in any
Mhm.
way? What
Mhm.
tips would you give on that?
Yeah. I mean, you gotta find new friends, honestly. That sounds harsh, but I mean, it's kind of the truth. Like, you want to surround yourself with people that have the lifestyle that you are trying to aspire to, like in an attainable way, and seeing things like that. Well, that's probably not really like likely that attainable, but having, being in some sort of a community where other people are trying to do what you're doing. And and just like networking, like locally, online, whatever, like having a like-minded group where you're all kind of like in kind of a similar spot, or maybe people are like the next step ahead of you. And, you know, so that you can keep, growing. And, you know, because like thinking about my friends now, like I, the most of my friends that we are now that around our area now are stay at home moms too. And they are also really frugal. So when we go and do stuff, it's not like they're wanting to go to the trampoline park and each thing we do is like $20 here. It's not like they're wanting to, oh, hey, let's go to the zoo, or I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, but like, no, we're just going to the creek, bring a picnic. Like, it costs nothing to hang out with these people. Like, those are the people that like you need to find, is the people that are trying to do life like how you're trying to do life. And that's harder with family, and, if your family is, living a very different life than you are.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's, that is tricky.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just like the more you surround yourself with people that are really similar to you, it's going to be better overall.
Yeah. No, I definitely have that. And I do have a best friend too. Um, I feel like we kind of swapped places. She was needing to be more frugal, and then now I'm needing to be more frugal. So, I mean, she's been my best friend my whole life. So I can just tell her, no, I'm not doing that. You're crazy. But like the other day, I didn't say no, and I really should have looked into
Hmm.
this. I didn't even research in advance. She was like, oh, we're going to go to this indoor playground. It was
Hmm.
the coolest place in the world. I mean, my kids are still talking about it. They had a
Hmm.
blast. Oh my goodness, for my two children, for an indoor playground, and we were there for 2 hours, was $60.
Oh my gosh. Totally. I know exactly. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
ow. But like,
Yeah.
we drove, it was like 40 minutes to get there. I'm not gonna like turn around.
Mm-hmm.
Plus then everybody
Right.
and be crying. I was, can't,
Oh.
we were there. But I was like, okay, gotta research that a little bit.
Hmm.
But we love creek time too. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to make creek time sound as enticing as that
And
indoor
it
playground.
is. Greek time is super fun.
That's fun. All right. So I'm going to start wrapping things up here, but what message or takeaway would you really like the listeners of this episode to kind of just take away? I'd love to have some kind of either actionable tip to give people, something they can start doing right now, or just words of encouragement for people.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest action that you can take, again, is look back over your finances. Just last month, you just 1 month, just look at 1 month. What can you cut? Like, that's the biggest start. And I think that will like jumpstart you into thinking about other things. And like when you go to the grocery store, like what is something that maybe you just pick one thing that you can maybe try making from home. And just kind of trying out the rabbit hole. Like, I had never made a chicken before. And, I was like, oh, that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with a chicken. And then that's kind of led, down the hole or whatever. And, just start small, find your replacements and kind of go from there. And just know that it is attainable. And no matter how much you save or don't save, if you've got a goal to save $1,000, in this year, which would be that is very attainable. But if breaking it down. Okay, so that means this month I need to save this much. And even if you fail at that, you probably will have saved more than if you had not tried at all, right? And so just, give yourself a goal, try and get there, and definitely take baby steps. Go small.
Yeah,
And
it's
then, yeah,
so crazy how much those baby steps can really add up, whether you're learning to do homesteading things one skill at a time, whether you're taking your finances one step at a time. Um, I really think that the baby steps over after even just a year can make such a huge difference.
it really
So,
can. Yeah.
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 So, thank you so
Yeah.
much
This
for
is fun.
coming on and chatting with us. And I just really want to encourage people that whether you are looking to stay at home on one income or not, I know that all of us can probably do a little bit better, but it's definitely doable. Both of us are doing the thing somehow. We're here.
Yeah.
And Jillian, where can everybody find you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, sprouting as sprouting arrows. And we have the blog sproutingarrows.com. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Everybody go ahead and check her out. Until next time.
All right. Hey, thank you again. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Thank you.